Hi, my name's Daniel. I'm from Cary, North Carolina, and I go to Enloe High School. And this is my story and my science fair story. So I was born in Rochester, New York, and I don't really remember much of it, but I do know that as a kid, a very young kid, we moved around a lot. My parents were both immigrants from China, so we moved around a lot until eventually settling down in Virginia, where I spent the majority of my elementary and pre-elementary years. As a kid, I really had four main things that I did. Well, first of all, I played with my friends, and then my parents really wanted me to get into math and piano. So initially, I was kind of hesitant about these things. These things like math, I was always good at, and I like being good at math, but it was hard for me to sit still and just study something for a very long time. I just wanted to go outside and play with my friends. But gradually, as I started doing this more and more, math and piano, I found them to be really interesting and actually really grew to love them. And then the other thing, the fourth thing that I did as a kid is programming. So my dad is a professor of computer science. So he introduced to me programming at a really young age. I remember specifically, he would get this thing called Lego Mindstorm. I don't know if it's still around, but it would be like this little Lego thing. You could build Lego cars, and then they would have a small kind of computer-like device on top that you could program. So he turned it into a game, or a cat and mouse game, where you wanted to program one car to chase the other car and try to catch up to it. So I was really obsessed with this for a while to try to catch his car. And I think that really launched me into my interest in artificial intelligence and this whole ISEF project. So that brings me to my project. So I wanted to solve a problem that I had having for a while, and that is turning pages of sheet music. So, as a piano player, it's pretty annoying, especially if you're learning a new piece, to have to pause in the middle of playing, turn the page, and then have to find your hand position again to keep playing. So I wanted to automate this process somehow. And the way to do that was through this algorithm. So I contacted the expert on this algorithm. The algorithm is DTW, stands for Dynamic Time Warping. Dr. Chu was the expert I contacted and asked her to mentor me in a research project about it. So, yeah, so our research started, and over the course of a few years, actually, I got to know DTW better, and I managed to put out some important optimizations about it. So a few of those optimizations, which I put out, turned into this project that I submitted for ISEF. And so that brings me to the actual, I guess, ISEF and whole science fair events. So I participated in science fair ever since ninth grade. And in ninth grade, I actually did manage to make it to the state level, but that's when my journey that year ended. Then the next year, I was more determined. 10th grade, I wanted to make it up to ISEF, but unfortunately, I didn't even make it to the state fair. So definitely a step back. It was very discouraging, actually. But yeah, basically what I learned through that process is that, you should be able to expect difficulties, expect setbacks if you want to get into, if you want to do anything really well. But in science in particular, it can be very intimidating to some people. And I think a lot of people may look at science, they might try it, and they'll run into some difficulty eventually. Even if they get over that one, there's always the next one, and they might eventually lose kind of motivation to keep going. But by expecting these kind of difficulties, you can kind of treat them as encouragement. You get to the next difficulty, you solve it, that means that you're progressing, you're getting better, and eventually you just have to get through all these difficulties and you have created something, you'll have achieved something. So yeah, so with that in mind, I went again in junior year, so this year, and I made it to ISEF and won $50,000, the Young Scientist Award. So the award process in itself was an emotional roller coaster for me. Um, so the way ISEF did it this year is they had a special awards ceremony the night before. And at the special awards ceremony, I was extremely surprised and happy to have won an award. Um, I won the ACM special award for, I think, third place. So I was very satisfied with that. And I didn't really expect much else. So then the next day, I woke up bright and early. I was still had a little bit of hope in my stomach. You know, maybe I could win like a fourth place or third place, right? So I go to class, and then I get out of class. I attend the live awards ceremony on YouTube. And so they go through it. It takes a super long time. They go through each award one by one, starting at fourth place. They get to my category, system software. It doesn't say my name. Okay, maybe third place. Go through again. You know, okay, it doesn't say my name either. But now the hope's kind of starting to die down. You know, maybe second place is probably the best that I could get. Go through second place, once again, nothing. And then first place, out of nowhere, yeah, I won first place in the embedded system category. So that was absolutely incredible. My parents and I were all jumping around, you know, in shock and excitement. But I had no idea that it would get even crazier. So later, towards the very end of the awards ceremony, the final big awards come. You know, everybody I met at ISEF were talking about these. Who's going to get the big George Award? Who's going to get, you know, the big awards? And it never really occurred to me that I actually had a chance. But I guess, you know, everybody there does have a chance. So, and now that I had won the first place, I knew that there was a chance, because only the first place winners are capable of getting the grand award. So it shows up, and lo and behold, my smiling face pops up on screen. And I just get out of my chair, speechless. And yeah, that's that. So yeah, that whole experience was absolutely incredible for me. ISEF, the science fair, everything, it's been a major part of my development and my life as a, you know, a teenager. But nowadays, you know, I'm working on more research. I'm preparing for college. I'm trying to relax a little bit, hang out with friends. And yeah, so that's my science fair story. If I had one piece of advice for other potential, if I had one piece of advice for other science fair participants, that would be to expect these difficulties. You know, you sometimes even getting into the project, especially some programming project like mine, is very hard. Finding a mentor can be very difficult and challenging. Even finding a problem that you want to solve can be a long process. But you know, by coming into it with the mindset that you're going to expect these difficulties, I think you'll find that your motivation doesn't die as quickly, and you'll be able to persevere through and get what you want to achieve. So